Okay, so hey Aaron, good to see you. I'm loving your background. Where is your background?
So this is Dragon Bay is on the other side of this, Molyneux Point, so where the underwater sculpture park is.
Ah, nice. And was that taken on your chocolate cruise?
Yeah, so Arthur Daniels, who is a videographer, photographer in Grenada, he was documenting the Grenada Chocolate Festival. And this is during, which you can kind of see if I move to the side.
Mm-hmm.
There we had two boats and we were doing a chocolate and rum tasting. So different chocolates from Grenada, and then we had different rums from the Caribbean, and we were kind of tasting each of those in tandem. I explained different rum, different chocolates people were consuming.
It looks amazing. I'll see if I can post a link to the video from that because I watched it and wept. I was like, if only I could have been there. But anyway, that's enough about me and my alcohol problem. I want to chat to you about your story because you're one of the most fascinating people that I've come across of my generation. Actually, you're a bit younger, but who've made the move back and have just found ways to make it work, which I think is really, really inspiring. And I just want to share your story with others. So for those watching who don't know, can you tell us a bit about yourself? Who are you and what do you do?
As you said, my name's Aaron Sylvester. I'm the founder, chocolate maker, and pan washer, I guess, at Tri-Island Chocolate, which is the 5th chocolate company in Grenada. I basically used to work in marketing in the music industry before, and long story short, I finished that phase in my life, did a small bit of traveling, and then decided that I was going to focus on creating my own business, which was using some land that my grandparents had left me when they passed away, which had a lot of cocoa trees on it. So I decided to start making chocolate. So I learned about how to make it, built a brand, learned how to I kind of worked on the logo, the packaging, the design, literally from the ground all the way up, and then built a brand that we produce chocolate here in Grenada, and we sell it in supermarkets and hopefully eventually across other shops regionally. And then off the back of that, I started doing different tours that connected to cocoa and chocolate and to my land. We do a Rastafarian tour, we do a make your own chocolate bar tour, we do a beekeeping tour. We got all of these things that kind of revolve around the land, agriculture, farming, Grenada culture. It kind of all dovetailed together, really. And then off the back of the COVID situation, we've now evolved into virtual experiences. So giving people a chance to visit our website, purchase some of our chocolate, and then do a chocolate tasting with them once the chocolate arrives, or a virtual experience to learn about how to make Grenadian authentic cocoa tea. So yeah.
Super. And so you traveled all around the world and your background was in music. What led you to choose Grenada as a place that you would settle, and what made someone with a music background think that they could rock into the world of agriculture and do something significant?
I think well, I've always been one of those people who's been quite a chameleon in terms of what I do. You know, people use the word entrepreneurial. I don't completely get what that word means because it's such a multifaceted thing, but we all evolve and we should always evolve. So I've always been the person that's thrown my hat at things. If I liked it and I believed in it and I thought I could make it work, I would do it. So from the very young age, I did under 18 events in Feltham. And then decided that was cool, did that for a while, then evolved to managing a magician, to then getting into the music industry because I didn't think there was enough people looked like me, representing artists like me behind the scenes. So I kind of got into that world. That was the real driving force. And then when I moved to Grenada, the opportunity presented itself to run a floating bar. So I ended up handling that for a short while still focusing on trying to make my chocolate company work. So I guess it's just, I just do it. I don't really have any real reason why or what right I have to do it. I just see an opportunity and I just think, well, and no one's doing it. I think people want it and I can see people are demanding it. So let me just build it and see if they come, basically. And that's pretty much what I've done all through my life. Things have worked, things have failed, things have been fun for a long time, things have been fun for a short time. And I've just kept it moving.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And one of the things I found really interesting about your journey is that when it's come to making chocolate and building your brand, it hasn't just been about creating an amazing product or making sure that your branding is on point. One of the things that you and I have had quite a few chats about is the business model and how it can benefit farmers. Why has that been important to you?
I guess that's fundamental for me because, you know, being in this chocolate space, you learn that ultimately a lot of people who have done really well out of chocolate, it's all come from one person, really, and that's the cocoa farmer at the very beginning. But the one person that doesn't actually get as much of the riches is the cocoa farmer. And I've learned that through this journey of being involved in chocolate and just seeing other chocolate companies who have prospered. And I wanted to change that because I felt ultimately, and I know what it's like to wake up at 5 in the morning, sharpen your cutlass, get down to the land, and then you start cutting bush for multiple hours. And it's tough. You know, I've not grown up like that. I've grown into that. And I think I wanted to change the stigma that seems to be some people have around farming, and I wanted to give, and you know, farmers ultimately have a bad rap. Like there's no long and short about it. They have a bad rap. People believe that they're uneducated. They don't really know what they're doing. It's a quick way of making small amount of money, and that's not really the case. So I wanted to kind of show that there are farmers out there that have great ideas, are entrepreneurial, and I wanted to basically work with them to build them up because unfortunately it seems that what happens is people reap from the farmer and then leap multiple steps and then make the product. And I wanted to kind of show that the farmers can do that just as much as anybody else can. And I guess I kind of have tried to do that my own way, but also through working with beekeepers, working with other farmers who do other produce and other crops that I can benefit from and I can use in my chocolate. But ultimately, I can't do everything. So for me, it's to work with people who I can work with, build them up, build myself up, and then we can always work together. Because one of the things I wanted to do with what I did with the Rastafarian tour was to work with the Rastafarian side of my family in Mamakan, my uncle Atiba, and give people a chance to learn about the culture, learn about the food, learn about the music, learn about the bush that people didn't know about. Because by running my business, I learned that when you said Rastafarian, everyone just thought Bob and Marley, and there's way more to it than that. So for me, it was about how I could work with my family, get them to teach people about it, turn it into a business opportunity, and then they can reap from that because they're the ones that have all the knowledge. So that was an example of where I wanted to work with them and benefit them and create a little side business or tool as it was around that.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And so how long have you been in Grenada now? Is it 5? How many
4 years.
years?
4
How many?
years.
4. Okay.
Yeah. So
And
I left the UK literally around the same time as Brexit.
okay, nice move. Um, and so in that time frame, I'm sure there'll be many ups, many downs. But what are some of your most memorable experiences of that time?
I think there's two key ones that come to mind. One would have to be the one time that I actually saw my chocolate in the supermarket. And I think that for any artisan or small business owner is probably one of the biggest highlights. After you've worked on something for so long, and then to actually see it in a shop, um, is a big moment. And when someone obviously turns up to you and says, "Oh, I bought you a chocolate yesterday," because you're just working away in your own little bubble, working on something. You wrap it, you pack it, you put it in a box, and you send it into a shop, and then that's it. But to know that someone's purchased it and then told you they've bought it and had it is quite a moment. So that would be one. And then the second one would have to be when I opened my chocolate factory in St. George's. was another kind of a milestone moment for me in terms of it. It kind of was after a long journey of building something that I could put a venue and kind of stand beside it and say, this is what I'd built, and give people a chance to come and make their own chocolate and come inside my home, so to speak, and have a different experience that wasn't offered on the island, where you could come and taste chocolate from all different chocolate companies as well as mine, and then make your own chocolate bar. So that was probably the two key highlights for me, I guess.
Yeah, that was a really special space you created. So, yeah, congrats on pulling that off. And so looking back, I mean, I guess it's hard to say, but I'll try and see if you can answer. Has the experience lived up to your expectations? I guess a lot of stuff that's happened this year, you could never have expected would have been reality, but
Yeah.
looking back to what you thought the process would be like and what it's actually been like, how did the two compare?
I think, I guess it's easy to say, it didn't, to a certain degree, but that for me is kind of different. I think I went into this with my eyes wide open.
Mm-hmm.
I had many people who had given me their opinion about multiple things before I decided to make this journey. So I had all that feedback that I already knew about, and that's from family and friends that were here or had moved to the UK from Grenada. So I had it in all different shapes and sizes. But when I got here, I knew it was going to be tough. That was evident. But I didn't realize how tough it was going to be in terms of just getting the basic things done. Like some of the things that, I guess, growing up in the Western world, you take everything's just happens, right? You want to open a bank account, you can do so by Monzo in 7 minutes, right? Unfortunately, it's not the same here. You know, if I want to send them a package from A to B, I go to the post office. I can be in a queue for 2-3 minutes, and then it's over the counter, weighed, stamped, done. Unfortunately, it's not the same here. It can take up to 45 minutes to get something what I deem to be quite basic can become quite long.
Mm-hmm.
So, in a day, it can take up a lot of your time. Whereas I'm a wake up, bish bash bosh, in and out, and let's go on to the next thing. Here, it's a lot of can be a slower process, which makes productivity a struggle in some instances, which is kind of why I end up doing a lot of stuff on my own. It's not a great thing to necessarily have to not boast about, but talk about, but I've just found it far easier just to get on with it on my own. And I know that if I don't do it, it's down to me, instead of relying on other people to not do it, and then I have to blame someone, and then it still comes back to me anyway. So I might as well just get on with it and just do it. It takes a while, but at least I know it's done. So I think that's been the biggest challenge, is just the logistics of things. For example, bringing in like packaging, for example, I have to purchase my packaging in the UK, get sent here. That's expensive to get it here. Machinery, shipping that into the country, getting it in, the taxes I have to pay on that is expensive. Then the machine's here. And then if I want to send goods out of the country, I then get hit again with another huge bill just to get the items out. And it's chocolate, so it can't just be put into a drum and sent through a ship or whatever, which would be cheaper. It has to go via air, which again is expensive. So, and with the pandemic right now, there's no planes really in or out on a reasonable price to do so. So it's that in itself is a real challenge. To answer your question, it's a mixed yes and no. But I kind of think I'm faring okay.
Yeah, definitely. And lastly, what 3 things do you know now that you wish you knew back then when you got on that plane out of Gatwick and set off?
Okay, I think not just. I guess I wouldn't so much say it's what I wish I knew. I kind of probably knew. I just probably didn't make it so much of a priority. I think one definite thing is to have a mentor. I knew I needed one, but I just didn't find one, and that was a challenge. I think 2 is not just, again, for people in general. I think is when you have that passion, is to make sure it is a passion. You just don't want to just start a business because you want to make money. It's because this is a full-time job, beyond more than a full-time job. So it's like you living and breathing this business. So you have to make sure that you love it inside out. You know, people talk about knowing your why. And I think that's such an important thing, to know what your purpose is and the purpose of the business. So that's definitely important. And just being really frugal. I think as much as people think the Caribbean and here and things might be cheaper, things ain't cheaper. You just have to work a lot smarter to make sure that your money can go further. And I think that's probably the three things that come to mind, is definitely the last one. Yeah, just being frugal and just making money stretch the most and the best way that you can get it to.
Perfect. Thank you so much for talking us through that. So if people want to check you out, get on the mailing list when your chocolate bars are ready to ship, or to do a virtual chocolate making experience with you, what's the best way to find out more?
If you just visit, I'm across all social media platforms, but ultimately www.tryisland.com, and you'll find me. If you just type my name, Aaron Sylvester, Grenada, in Google, I'm sure I'll pop up somewhere, and there'll be some kind of social media link attached to me somewhere. So yeah, that's probably the best way to find me.
Yeah, that's super. Thank you, Aaron. Very proud to kick off with your story. Look forward to following your progress. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.